The evolution of moving from the publisher side of the business into brands happened relatively naturally. If you think about the fact that we break news stories for most of the major publishers, we're sitting on all of this incredible data. We have access to pretty much some of the best social media platforms on the planet, and above that we have a layer of writers, newsroom editors that are pretty much live 24/7. And so actually using the same techniques from a kind of investigative journalist perspective allowed us to create a proposition whereby we could work with a specific brand, understand what's important to them, understand the emotions or the brand values or the objectives of what they wanted to create, and then just dive down into the world that is, infinite content pretty much. And based on the expertise that we have from a journalistic background, we could identify that kind of 0.1% of content which is amazing that lives on the web, and then curate that and provide that to a brand to use in their comm strategy.
So just to be clear, it's not branded content and it's not really content marketing, it's curating videos that are unrelated sort of thing, or that are related thematically, and then you license this from the content creators. Explain kind of how the whole sort of thing pulls together.
100%, but just to kind of go back to your question around it's not content marketing, it's not branded content. Obviously, content marketing is one of those kind of fuzzy words whereby people have 101 different definitions. For us, marketing is content now, right? Just because you sit in front of a television and watch a 30-second video that makes you laugh, that's not TV advertising, that's content, right? And so for us, we have a much broader perspective. The usage can help define how you frame that, but people need written content, they need video content, and that we support with both of those different areas. The process that we go through is that we will sit down with the client, we will run through their overall strategy, understand how we piece into that so that it's not about a one-off tactical engagement. This is about, over time, how do we significantly move the needle with things that are important to you, whether that's driving brand equity or whether that's helping to figure out how do we actually monetize this or make you more money with what we're doing. Once we've got that in place, we then look at the ways that we execute against that strategy. So looking at the pool of, for example, looking at a pool of content that is around, celebrations for a CPG client, we will then identify specific areas that we believe this is where the content lives. We'll then drill down into that. We'll identify assets that we believe support the brief, present those to the client. The client will look at those assets and go, actually, out of the 10 that you've given me, these are the 5 for this particular activation that I think are absolutely perfect. Our job is to then go out there and verify, validate, and then license that content, because we talk a lot about fake news, we talk a lot about plagiarism. On the web, it's very easy for people to take content and then actually copy it and repost it and claim ownership. So, core to what we do, and I think this is what differentiates us, is the fact that we have these investigative journalists, we have their process, the technology, we have the proprietary tech that we've built on top of everything else that helps us to drill down and truly identify that person that has created that content. And we then go through a process whereby we close them and license that piece for the partner.
Cool. And then the partner being the brand, the media agency, what do they do with that, with those assets, and what's the scope of some of the activations you've seen?
Yeah, so once again, it really depends. When we're giving somebody an asset, we try to help them to look at it from a holistic perspective. What we don't want clients to do, they can do, but it's just to put one piece of social content onto their Facebook site because they believe that's what they should be doing and that's enough. We tend to look at it from a much broader perspective. So for example, when we sit with the client, we'll understand of the different businesses that you have, who could use this, of the different markets that you have, who could use this. The only way to do true global content marketing is through video. That's the bottom line. It's impossible to scale it out in any other way. You take the video, you put the subtitles on the bottom of it, and you distribute it out. So we start to look at ways to kind of broaden the scope and really sweat it. We can then look at repurposing it for Snapchat, repurpose it for all of the other channels that you have. We've got clients that are looking at putting content on the big jumbo screens during big sporting events, people that put content on the side of buses. There's an infinite way of using it. The most important thing for us is to understand from the business's perspective, how are you measuring success? And then we make sure that they've got the right plan in place to deliver that, because we can give them an asset, But unless they've got the right plan to get it in front of the right people and the right measurements, it becomes, once again, a very tactical kind of throwaway thing.
Alex, so let me ask you how, when you guys launched this business and how broad it is now in terms of campaigns and sort of the scope of the operation.
Yeah, so we have offices around the world now. Outside of our kind of newsroom that is on 24/7, we have offices in New York, Dublin, London, Hong Kong, and Sydney. There's about 180 people in the organisation, and it's just growing. The brand business itself is relatively young. We also have an insight business as well. So we're helping brands to actually understand what content they should be creating, what's happening out there in the world, what are the signals that they can then use to either differentiate themselves or to make better content. So, we have an insight business, we have a brand business, and it's just starting to expand, early days.
And there's always these handles in marketing and advertising and media. Do you guys have a descriptor of what you do? It's kind of different.
Yeah, so the way that I like to describe our business is that we are a hybrid between a newsroom and a social insight business, blended together, right? That's the kind of core from an insight perspective. And then underneath that, we have assets that can support whatever you need, but that comes from this ecosystem and this hub. So we're a social content services business.